Hey everybody, it's Michael from Steelyard here with Jeremy and Jason of Bauer, Clifton out of Alaska. Thanks for joining me, guys.
Hey, Michael.
It's so good.
Thanks for having us today.
Of course. Now, some people we've been doing new chats with, but you guys are veterans. You were in the Airstream with me in October, so a little bit different this time. But I've got the Airstream background. I like the view behind it better than on the street in High Point. I've got a beach there, so I figured, Alaska, we had to have a beach here to balance you guys out a little bit.
Right. The benefits of having your mobile office, essentially.
That's right. Perfect. So tell me, I have been having these Zoom chats with people all over the world, as it turns out, right? And you all are in Alaska. So I haven't heard much about what's going on in Alaska. So give us a little, guy on the street here. What's going on in Alaska right now? How are things?
Well, actually, Alaska responded quite well. We hunkered down, pretty quickly, and our office, we transitioned into an at-home work environment, first day, and we had a few little hiccups just getting computers set up, but luckily, Jason had the foresight a couple years ago to take in our whole office digital, and so we were already in place and ready to hit the ground running.
Yeah, being cloud-based. But yeah, so fortunately, the entire state did pull together and is continuing to pull together to ensure the safety of all of our citizens, basically, and our neighbors for the most part, just because we do have so many communities that are on the more remote level, lacking certain medical facilities. And so that was a major concern and still is. So that's been great on the health side of things. In regards to our economy, I mean, the tourism industry is pretty much shot up here for the most part, especially since the cruise ship industry is such a huge component of the states as well as our local economies. So not as positive news in that regard for this year, but we're hoping that things will turn around here before the end of the year.
Yeah, it's hard, right? I mean, we've got to think first about the safety of everybody right now. And in certain hot spots around, I talked to, Jana, the trim queen from New York earlier, and her environment is so different than mine here in Florida or yours in Alaska, right? So we've got to think about people first, but the economy and the effects, I think what I keep thinking about with that is the fortitude of our industry. And the manufacturers and the design houses like yours that are really lifting up the industry and keeping people working and really doing great things. It's so encouraging, right? Because we are a big industry, but small at heart too. And we all care about each other and lifting it up. So you all are still working. So tell us, what that's been like, as you work with manufacturers and everything else right now. What has that been like? What are some of the challenges and what are some of the success stories right now?
Well, for us, it hasn't really been too much of a transition, essentially. Only because, since our inception, I mean, we've never had the luxury of simply driving down to a nearby showroom and being able to specify product or finished materials. So, I mean, working closely with our manufacturers and our brand reps has been like what has gotten us to here today, basically from the very start of our business. And so we've always relied heavily upon websites, as well as reps for their product information and detailed photography. And then of course sampling and swatches, those are what we rely upon for every one of our projects. And so really the only change is, we've always followed this with our clients located in other states, where we order duplicates or triplets of each and every swatch, so that we maintain our own collection here at the studio.
Wow.
We send a box of these proposed sample and finished materials to our clients, and then if they're located elsewhere from the actual project site, then we send one to the project site so that the contractors and tradesmen have their own collections, so they get a first-hand look as far as what they're actually going to be installing. So yeah, so it's and as Jeremy mentioned, we transitioned to being cloud-based completely back in 2017. So it's been a fairly smooth transition. We've really have just transferred our local clients to this virtual platform that we've already been working with.
Sure. Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting, right? Jeremy, Jason talks about how a lot hasn't changed, but relationships matter when you're at market. right? So when you're at market and seeing folks, we don't have that this week. So as virtual as you guys are, what is that like for you, not being in High Point this week, Jeremy, not being able to kind of shake hands and hug and have those relationships with these people you talk to year round?
Well, it's always something we really look forward to, reconnecting with our peers and the vendors. And you know, it's always a highlight every year. You know, one thing that's been really fun is I found that we've all went, you know, online and as just designers and really good friends. You know, we're connecting that way and talking about, you know, what we would have seen at High Point, and actually, you know, bouncing ideas off each other. You know, we're finding that it might have now opened up a new normal for us, that, you know, might turn into more of a habit. So that might actually was the silver lining with this.
Interesting. I think you're right. Now, I did hear a rumor that you all were doing some sort of sweet spot tour at High Point Market. So I'm curious, that was a play obviously on the sweets at Market Square. Are you still doing a sweet spot store in your pantry? You know, kind of just going around looking for candy and sweets?
Right. That's so we very well could, although I'm pretty much already through my stash of sweets. So I might have to replenish here pretty soon.
So you'll still do something with that tour at this point?
Yes, well, we are going to be taking it virtually, essentially. So we were already, you know, going to be a part of IMC's Instagram takeover, and so we're going to be marrying the two, and so we'll be spotlighting our preferred and, you know, even new vendors in which we haven't been introduced to necessarily, for those that are, you know, kind of on just getting their start or on the smaller side of things at Market Square, and so we'll be highlighting those here up virtually on an upcoming takeover.
Fantastic. Now, is there a party that you're most missing or an event that you're most missing from High Point?
Like, basically, I mean, yeah, I mean, several actually. From Four Hands to Universal, I mean, obviously they always have some great gatherings, but we always, you know, take the opportunity of being in High Point to visiting our friends at the Interior Design Society, since they're headquartered there as well. And so it's always a great opportunity to see fellow IDS members coming in and out of their doors, and yeah, and so certainly missing them, but they've recently started up kind of a roundtable discussion for their members, and so it was nice to be able to see some faces, you know, recognizable faces, and some, you know, basically our design fam from afar last week.
Yeah, I think, you know what, Jason, I think what Jeremy just said too, with things changing, you might have more association meetings virtually now, right? It is hard to get people together throughout the year. So I think as you talk about missing the IDS folks, this might be an opportunity, right, to do more of this engagement and kind of group conversations and lifting each other up. You know, you can't replace the relationships, like we said, but we can certainly keep business going. And that's what's been so encouraging to hear from everybody. So while we miss you guys this week, while we're not in the real Airstream having our chat, while we're not seeing you at the Universal Party and other places, I'm so glad you took the time to have the chat with me today, to be part of High Point at Home. And really, you two are some of the people we most look forward to seeing each market. And we're sad that we won't be doing that in person this time, but we can't wait for October. We think it's going to be the biggest party known to man at October High Point Market. So we'll look forward to seeing you then. Thanks for your time today. Stay safe and be well.
Thanks again. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks.